Welcome back, everyone. Do you remember when the White House said that there was no war on Fox? Well, it looks like they may have fibbed, or they did. Their private emails have gone public. A conservative watchdog group uncovering these emails from 2009 now. A deputy White House press secretary writes this: "We've demonstrated our willingness and ability to exclude Fox News from significant interviews." Then another email reads, "I am putting some dead fish in the Fox cubby, just cause." Here to react, Bernard Whitman is a former pollster to President Clinton, former New Jersey Governor Christy Todd Whitman, who is now an advisor to No Labels, and Nicole Wallace, former presidential McCain campaign and author of 18 Acres. Good to see this wonderful panel that we put together for a Friday. All right, Bernard, how do you defend this?
Well, first, why are we still talking about this? This is a 2-year-old story. The issue is quickly resolved, and I think I've demonstrated my attitude on this after being on Fox for more than 100 times in the last 3 years. I strongly disagreed with some in the Democratic Party when they said we should boycott Fox. I'm a big believer in engaging with every voter on every network wherever possible. That's what democracy is all about. But having said that, we're fighting 3 wars on multiple fronts. We've got unemployment over 9%. We're about to default on the debt. I'm not sure that a tiff that is 2 years old between some reporters and a deputy White House press secretary really is deserving of much attention.
Governor, is it deserving because it actually shows that this administration lied?
I'm not sure I'd raise it to that level. I mean, it's the best publicity Fox could possibly have, and it was pretty silly to put that kind of thing into an email, given what we know about how open these things are and what FOIA does. And, you know, again, it makes for nice coverage now. And, yeah, obviously somebody didn't tell the truth when they said they were that they didn't boycott anybody, and it's not the kind of thing that you want to see an administration do, either boycott a media or not tell the truth. But I'm not sure it's a big lie.
Right. Well, but here's the thing. The government doesn't react quickly to anything, Nicole. So is it because we're dealing with, it's emblematic of the bureaucracy? That's why it took 2 years for the Freedom of Information Act to come out, and so now we finally have the...
Look, here's why I think it's a little bigger deal. I think that the incredible hypocrisy that it shows from a president who promised an end to childish things to have some of his most senior press advisors, and this didn't stop at the deputy press secretary level. Anita Dunn, who was, you know, had a direct line to Michelle and President Obama, announced a war on Fox News. Now, we at the Bush White House certainly had tussles with individual reporters and with individual stories, and we got upset. But never, ever, ever, as White House Communications Director, would I have been given a green light to declare war on an entire news organization. It is unprofessional. It shows a lack of focus at a time when we should be worried about 3 wars, about an economy that's, you know, in very fragile condition, and about, you know, crisis after crisis this White House seems to find itself in.
Well, luckily for Jay Carney yesterday, the president's spokesperson, he wasn't around when this all happened, so he could just get off the hook and say, I wasn't here, I don't know.
Gibbs did it.
Panel, stick around. Sometimes that works, right? Stick around, if you will, because a new poll showing the president falling even further behind in a 2012 race. But all right, folks, it's still more than a year away, but a new poll showing signs of trouble for the president's re-election campaign. In a head-to-head matchup, the poll shows President Obama now trailing a generic GOP candidate by 8%. So I'm back with our panel: Bernard Whitman, Christine Todd Whitman, and Nicole Wallace. All right, so, Governor, let me start with you on this, because the polls are really interesting when you look at the generic candidate handily beating the president. But then when you look at actual names of GOP candidates, he is still in the lead. What does that say to you?
Well, it means that the public is saying, we're not happy with what's going on. We're not comfortable with this administration the way we thought we were going to be or wanted to be, and we want to see a change. But right now, we don't see the person on the Republican side that tells us this is who we want to get behind. This is the person who can do the job. I mean, it's very troubling for the president to have his unfavorables as high as they are. That's not a good place for an incumbent to be, particularly at this point in an election cycle. But the Republicans have got to be very careful. Mitch McConnell said it the other day. You know, if they don't deal responsibly with the deficit issue, the president can turn it right around on its head, and it can make a big, big difference for him. But right now, he's not where he wants to be, that's for sure.
But, Nicole, could you look at these polls in a different way and say that because we're still so far out from the election, that people have they haven't decided which Republican they want to support? So that's why when you actually put names up against the president, you get such a different result.
Yeah, that could be part of it, that we're still unsettled on who it's going to be that we think will be the strongest give the toughest race to President Obama. But I really do believe that there's this great discontent with everything that's happening in Washington. And I'm dismayed in watching this debt negotiation deteriorate from such a high point to such a low point where we're talking about ramming peas down each other's throats. From 6 days ago, they were talking about an historic generational deal. I think that there are very few arbiters of truth in Washington, and that the anonymous alternative is more attractive than another politician.
What does that poll say to you, Bernard, about the generic candidate handily beats President Obama?
Well, I got to tell you, it says that the real horse race right now is between Mitt Romney and the other Republican candidates to see who can run down to the courthouse faster and legally change their name to generic Republican, because that's the only way, according to the polls, that anyone has a chance of beating Obama. Let me explain. Obama beats every named Republican candidate, and it underscores the poor job, I think, the Republican Party has done in recruiting candidates at a time when the president clearly is vulnerable because of the poor economic recovery.
Look at how many choices there are there. See, that was my point, is that Americans haven't decided in this whole slate who they're going to pick, and so you get a scattered,
diluted.
But in terms of its predictability, let's remember, at this similar point in time, Mondale was beating Reagan by 9 points, Dole was beating Clinton by 5 points, and George Herbert Walker Bush was getting reelected by 12 points. So the predictive value of a generic question at this point in time is virtually nil.
All right. I hope you all have a great weekend, and thanks for a very interesting debate here.
Thank you.
Let's toss it over to Brian now.